Hello, and how are you today? I am so excited to see you for this important conversation that we're going to have. I am Dr. Pamela Ellis, and I just want to welcome you into this conversation about self care as a leadership strategy for women. As you are coming in, please drop in the comments. Hello. Let me know where you're joining in from, whether you're joining me live or joining me on replay. Just drop in a hello. It would be so good to hear from you. And so I am just really excited about this topic today. You're going to see me kind of look away every now and again because I got notes in two different directions here to make sure that I cover everything that I want to share with you. So one of the things first off is I'll share is just that, the title of this was chosen very intentionally. It is self-care as a leadership strategy for women. I chose that title because so often, especially as women with all of the many hats that we're wearing, we see self-care as a luxury. And I want to share with you that self-care is a necessity. It's a necessity in terms of sustaining our leadership. And so there is just a lot that I want to share with you today. And, especially now with everything that's going on in the world, it is so easy to just assume that we'll keep going and not really worry about those things, just kind of thinking that self-care will take care of itself, if you will. But I just know, even for myself in my own journey, there was certainly a point where I was, pouring from an empty cup, doing everything for everyone else, whether it was my family, clients, my team. I was just at a place of pouring out of an empty cup. I really had no more to give to them. And I was, showing up for everyone else without showing up for myself. And it really wasn't until I realized that, self-care wasn't selfish, but yet something that would sustain me. That's when everything else changed for me. And once I started forefronting that self-care, then I could not only show up at a higher level for everyone else, but also for myself. And that made all the difference in terms of the work that I was doing and even in my personal life as well and business life. It made such a huge difference. And so I really want to, share, you know, about, self-care as a leadership strategy right now because, there's so much uncertainty and a lot of concern that folks have. And, I know if you are a mom, there's always something going on with your kids. There's always something going on with them. And even last week, when I was at the Black MBA conference in Houston, there was a lot of talk about just what's happening in our overall economy and what's happening, in the workplace as well. A lot of changes with AI and all of the other things that are happening in the workplace culturally. And so there's so much going on that, if we don't take care of ourselves, really, where will that leave us? And self-care is not a luxury. It is a leadership strategy because it can sustain our leadership and propel us in ways that we may not have foreseen beforehand when we practice that self-care. And so I'm going to spend about 20 minutes with you today sharing some strategies that you could actually take into action today. And so there are going to be some strategies that will really make a difference in your own self care practice. But before I dive in, I do have another question for you. And that is around just, what one self care practice do you have today that's been working for you? And please drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you because that can help others who are also watching this live or watching the replay. It can help them as well. So for anyone else that's joining us, please tell me, what's one self-care practice that's been working for you today? So I want to introduce to you, as I mentioned in the outset, 4 practical strategies that can work for you starting today. Now, over this month of September, I've been doing these small 1 to 2 minute self-care practices that I've been sharing. And I still have some more to share even in the upcoming weeks, because as I started traveling, I got a little bit off track and had some other things going on, but I'm still going to continue to share those because they're so important. Because we oftentimes don't think of self-care as something that we can do daily, but we think of it as a one-time event or something that's going to require a huge investment of our time, our energy, or resources to even do. But that is not the case at all. We can do self-care on a daily basis. And so I want to give you these 4 key strategies that have worked for me over the years, and 4 that I know that you can incorporate right away. So the first one that I want to share with you is guarding your mornings. Oh my goodness. I do this almost religiously every day. So what guarding your mornings are about is really carving out that time in the morning just for you and not letting any distractions interfere with that time. I mean, for me in the mornings, I protect that time. There are only so many things that I do in the morning before 10 a.m. And one of the key ways that I guard my mornings is turning off notifications. I know that can be really hard, but it's turning off notifications. And if you can't turn off the notification, you still need to have it on, at the least not responding to it first thing in the morning. And that's a way that I guard my mornings so that that time is protected. And I have my own little ritual that I do, whether it's running, whether it's meeting with my personal trainer, whether it's doing my plank challenge. It's that time for me because I know that once the day gets started, if I haven't had that time in the morning to myself, then it's going to throw off my entire day. It's going to throw off my entire day. The other thing that's part of guarding my mornings is, in the morning, I have an accountability call with my accountability partner. And it's only, 15 to 20 minutes of checking in and praying together. And that time is protected. I don't have meetings that anyone can schedule before noon. And that's a way that my mornings are protected and I guard those mornings. So if you think that's a strategy that can work for you, I want you to type yes in the chat. Yes, guard your mornings. That's right. So that's a great strategy that doesn't cost you anything that you can do right away. So that's the first one. The second one that I want to share with you is setting relational boundaries. Relational boundaries. I know that that can be really hard in terms of saying no or saying that now is not the time. You don't want to disappoint in any way. And it's important though to set those boundaries. Like one of the boundaries, the relational boundaries that I had to set was, with my clients. There was a time when clients had my personal mobile number. And that meant that, especially in application season, I was getting text messages on weekends, late nights. I mean, it was nonstop, especially during application season. And I go through application season every year because I'm always working with seniors. And so that was a boundary that I had to set in terms of not giving clients my personal mobile number. As long as we are clients, they have our office mobile number. And on the weekend, there's an auto response that says, I'll get back to you on the next business day. In that way, it, really sets that boundary that I'm not going to be texting with you at 11 p.m. or texting with you early Sunday morning while I'm in church service. So setting those boundaries, and yes, they can be tough. And, I've set in some other parameters around, just boundaries so that I can protect that time. So what about for you? Is there, a boundary that you need to set? Whether you type it in the chat or not, I want you to think about that, because there's probably something or someone that you have a very hard time saying no to. But once you set that boundary, you can release yourself. And that is self-care. That is indeed self-care, and helps you to sustain yourself, your leadership as well. Now, the third one, I love this one. And this is something that I do on a daily basis as well. And that's, recharging with micro moments, just micro moments. Like it doesn't have to be that long. It could be just a few minutes. And, one of them is breathing. I know that sounds like, what? Breathing? Yes, breathing. I even found that, I was holding my breath when I was running, holding my breath, in, other forms of exercise or just during the day. But just taking that moment to take a deep breath. And that's something that can recharge you. Another one that recharges me is just going outside, especially on a sunny day like it is today, going outside. And it can be for a few minutes. Sometimes maybe I take a walk for just 5 to 10 minutes. And that's a way to recharge, just recharge. And so just taking those micro moments. There are also some times during the day when I just may meditate or say a quick prayer, and that also recharges me. One of the things that I do for a recharge that I usually can't do in a micro moment, but that's running. Running recharges me because I just gain so much clarity in those moments when I'm running. I oftentimes will run in silence, and that's very recharging. And even, if I'm not running, just kind of having a moment of silence just to sit and be still, that stillness is recharging. So using those micro moments, that's an amazing strategy. And so is that one that can work for you? Think about that. Think about if that recharging through a micro moment is a self-care strategy that can work for you. I'd like you to type that in the chat. So for my fourth one, the fourth strategy that I'll share with you is around financial and professional self-care. So one of them, on the financial side could be, checking your budget. Oh my goodness. That's one that I certainly have to do when I'm in these seasons of just traveling so much. Just kind of checking my budget, making sure that that's in alignment. And even having a budget, is something that, I see as a self-care practice. And so I know that, I'm only going to spend, so much, in terms of this time when I'm traveling and eating out, staying in hotels, taking flights, not always going first class, but at least business class. So that's a self care practice. Another one, professionally, can be protecting your calendar. Like with my calendar, I do have a way that clients or collaborators can schedule a time with me. But the way I protect their calendar is the times when they can schedule with me is only at certain times. And so in my calendar, through the week, I have certain days blocked out for when I'm doing networking. And there are certain times that are blocked out for client meetings. There are certain times that are blocked out for when I'm going to meet with my personal trainer. If my trainer can only meet, after 8 a.m., then they're not going to be a trainer that I would work out with because I need to, have that time certain days of the week when I'm not running and certain times in the morning when I have space for that. But it's not going to be late in the day, mid afternoon, because I know that if I'm doing those kind of things midday, it's going to throw off everything else. So just protecting your calendar, that is a self care practice. So how about that? Maybe, the financial or professional uh, self care, one of those practices can work for you as well. So I'm going to be wrapping up, but I hope that with those four strategies, there is one that you feel can work for you. I talked about, guarding your mornings, also, recharging through micro moments, um, setting relational boundaries. And the final one was a financial and or professional self-care. So with those strategies, they can be started today. It doesn't have to be something that you wait for, something that you save up for. You can do it now. And they will make all the difference in terms of sustaining you in your leadership, sustaining you with all the other many hats that you wear. And so I want to invite you to, just type in the chat, just what is one self care commitment that you'll make this week? If you can just type that in the chat for me. What is one self care commitment that you will make this week? So it's not about starting it next week. Like I said, you don't have to wait for it. It's something that you can do right now. Right now, you can start taking care of you. It's going to make a world of difference, not only for you personally, but professionally, relationally as well. It's going to make a huge difference. Um, One of the things I'll say in closing as well is that, self care doesn't have to be big or complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't even have to be something luxurious. You can practice self care on a daily basis, and that's going to continue to refill your cup so that you can be the amazing person that you want to be. And so self care can never really be understated, for sure. There's so much value in self care. So before I go, I just, want to thank you again for joining and invite you also, to stay in touch with me. For if you are going to be attending the National Minority Supplier Development Council Conference in Miami in November, I'll be there talking again about self-care strategies for women leaders in today's economy. And I'm going to, do a deeper dive into the things that I've shared with you today. I'll also continue sharing more self-care strategies on a daily basis. I have more remaining from Self-Care Awareness Month that I still will be posting. So I look forward to you staying in touch with me there. And then finally, if you work for a company, an organization that wants to support women leaders in sustaining their success and their leadership, please reach out. I'd love to bring this conversation to your organization and support your success. So thank you so much. I look forward to staying in touch. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And I will see you next time.